Welcome inside the CitrusTV studios for a special Webisode edition of Talking Points. I'm Thomas St. Hilaire. Today we expand on an issue that is taking place on our own campus community. Syracuse University suspended professional fraternity Theta Tau after video footage revealed racist and vulgar behavior. Some Greek organizations around the country have come under intense scrutiny over the last several years for inappropriate behavior. Some of this inappropriate behavior resulted in national conversations about fraternity culture. Joining me in the studio to elaborate on the national conversation is Talking Points analyst Michael Furnari. Michael, thank you so much for coming in. Again, I want to go to that national conversation. We've seen a lot of news come out over the last several years about these organizations, and we know this doesn't apply to all Greek organizations, but these are very specific instances at specific universities. What are some of the main issues that we're seeing?
Yeah, well, the main grievances, I think, stem from, the thing about these issues is they become so nationally reported on, and they really become kind of focuses in some of the media reporting. So a lot of what we're talking about is the racist language, like we saw at the video here on SU. We also saw that at Oklahoma University a few years back. A lot of stuff involving binge drinking. That's a huge part of a lot of the issues that we see from fraternities. We've also seen a lot of hazing practices come under very intense scrutiny. And I think one of the last issues that I think ties into all of what I just mentioned is that there is a very real secrecy surrounding a lot of the proceedings that go on at fraternities, and there is definitely kind of a sense of keeping what's behind closed doors behind those closed doors.
So you hit on a lot of issues there. You hit on, in some of these organizations, we're seeing acts of racism, binge drinking, and kind of like what you allude to, some of the secrecy that we're seeing in these organizations. What do you think are the causes of those issues that we should really be taking a look at?
Well, I think the causes, we often try to make like a very clear, neat cause and effect, but I think it's an issue that is very broad and really has to do with what the college experience means as a whole, particularly to incoming students. So I think you've got a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who really are leading kind of increasingly insular lives, and then you go to college and you're all alone for your first time. You don't really have a social framework that you're used to. You're away from your parents. You're around alcohol maybe for the first time, or at least you're very new to it most likely. And I think fraternities kind of embrace students in that way, and it gives them a kind of a feeling of security. So when you put a bunch of kind of newly free 18, 19, 20-year-olds in houses together, and you not only surround them with alcohol, I think it's very easy for those kind of issues to get out of hand, and it's very easy for them to try to start to one-up each other and kind of have increasingly vulgar or increasingly distasteful things happening in that kind of environment.
So we talk about some of these cultural issues. What is some of the political action that can be taken? I mean, should universities be taking the action? Should perhaps Congress be taking action? Who should be taking action, and what should be done about this?
It seems like there's very little hope right now, at least for kind of a national legislative solution on this, or at least anything passed in any kind of legislature. Now the only bill we've really seen on the national level, or at least on the state level, that has even been introduced is that there was a bill in Tennessee in January of this year that was introduced that would ban all fraternities that were not professionally associated. But it's not going to come to a vote, and there's really very little traction on that. So I think the solutions that you're going to see are going to be ones at the university level, things like increasing transparency and things of that nature.
Do you think that these types of bans are feasible?
I don't think so. I think that the way to do this is to maybe try to reform Greek life and make it so it's more compatible with university values and with kind of the way of life that the university wants to encourage. I don't know that you can, it's such an old, these institutions are so old and so ingrained in university culture that I don't know that they're really going anywhere.
Well, this is a national conversation, something we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. Thank you so much. And that's all the time we have on this Talking Points webisode. For more Talking Points content like full shows, articles, and webisodes, visit CitrusTV.com and follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV News. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for a brand new episode of Talking Points. For Michael Furnari and everyone here at Citrus, I'm Thomas St. Hilaire.